All right, let's start customizing our theme. I'm going to backtrack a little bit here, and you should be on this page. You might actually be here if you're logging back in. Let's see. However, wherever you end up, try to go to find a personalize and click on customize where it says theme. Okay, and that'll take you to this sidebar. So you can start with the site identity, which allows you to choose obviously you can change the name here. You can do little things to it, like you can change the text altogether. You can add a little subtitle if you want. Now you don't get to choose, you do get to choose the fonts, the kind of the font family, but you don't have like real exact control over every detail, remember. But honestly, sometimes that's just easier. You can also add a logo, and you can check the option. You can get rid of the title altogether if, let's say, you just want an image to be the title, or if you have a banner that you created, which we'll get into later, and that banner has the name of the page. So let's say it's your name, and then you could create a logo, so you can use some crazy looking font and maybe as superimposed upon over an image, and then in that case you would want to get rid of the site text, because this is actual text. So this will actually change. If, let's say, the page is shrunk, the window is shrunk, then the text will move around. See if I can show you that. There we go. You see? So you might not want that. So in that case, you would use an image instead. Right. Okay, let me resize this a bit so that it's easier to see. All right, so that's it. We already chose a site icon. If you didn't, this is where you could do it. Footer credit, you basically just leave that alone to default. You have a couple of options. This is basically a little footer that's going to show up. Because this is a free WordPress site, it's going to have to be one of those 5 options. You can't hide it unless you pay for a business plan. All right, then we have colors and backgrounds, and you have some background colors that you can choose from. You can have little palettes, which are like little groups of colors, and you can try different options here. Let's see, what's the difference? Oh, that's just for the background, right? And oh, I see how the buttons change too. So this, I get all the buttons are going to be purple, and then the background is going to be this color, whatever it is. And you can go back. You can, oh wait, actually there's more. Background. You do manual. You can also choose things manually. Ooh, ugly. Default. Let me go back to this. I think this was okay. All right. Okay, good. Next we go to font. Here you can choose from a variety of fonts. Let's say, for example, you want to choose a fancy cherry theme. No, cherry swash. And if you like that, you could use that. Anyway, I'm not going to... There are 2 sets of fonts. There's the headings font, and then there's the base font. So you can toy around with these settings and see what you like. You could do normal size, small. You can choose bigger size. So it's actually quite... you have quite a few options if you consider this is just a free theme. It's not bad at all, I must say. I'll choose normal. Anyway, back. Header image. This is when you can include an image. I am going to add a little banner on top. If you are going to create a custom banner with a name, this is where you would how you would put it in. And here you can crop an image if you have one, and just click on crop, and then it'll be up here. So you might not like to have such a thick bar, so you can play around with the size of this. Once again, if you want your text to, let's say, be inside, like above the image and stay there, you'd have to do that in a separate program. Create an image with the text in it using something like Inkscape. There are actually some online tools that you can use as well. And then you just upload the image, and then you would go to where we saw earlier when you can make the title disappear. And if you have a series of banners that you choose from, you can then, and let's say these might be pictures as well. So if you want to make them bigger, I don't necessarily recommend having huge images here, but you might like that. In that case, you can also randomize the headers. You can randomize the uploaded headers rather than the suggested ones that are just default. Like I don't think you want a piece of like plant showing up in your music. I don't know, maybe you do, I don't know. But you can randomize the uploaded header. So if I click on this, nothing will happen because I only have one. But if I hit 3 or 4 or even 2, every time somebody logs into the page or accesses the page, it'll randomize which banner shows up. So this is fun if you have a series of pictures and you don't want them to be always the same thing. So that's that. Then in terms of menus, we're not going to do much with this now because we don't have any menus really. So we'll come back to this later. So you can just leave it alone. Widgets, those are little like add-ons. Right now, so for instance, this is a widget, the search button. If you don't like it, I think it's good to have a little search button because people can search your site. But if you don't like it, you can remove it. You can also, let's say you don't want somebody to have this follow button because you're not so interested in a blog. You could get rid of it. You could just remove it, and it'll disappear. Well, what you can do instead is add another one. Let's say you want a calendar. You click on this. I tried using the audio one. It doesn't really work, or at least I couldn't get it to work, because you can't upload sound files. You can upload images, but not sound files. It's just kind of a random thing. But maybe you can get it to work. Let's see. So you could do all kinds of things. You can have a list of your pages. So you can have a navigation menu on the side. You can also, so that's an option to keep in mind if we don't want the menu on top. You can have a link to your Instagram. Where was what I wanted to talk about was the calendar. Here it is. So you could have a calendar that shows up here, which is kind of nice, actually. So, you know, if you have dates coming up, you might want to do this. And so I'm gonna leave it alone. Actually, I'm gonna leave the calendar. And good. So I'm gonna go back. Footer. Okay, homepage setting. This here basically means when people access your page and they go to the home page. Right now we only have one page, but eventually you'll have multiple ones. So by default, what it'll do is it'll show your latest post. So if you post, remember WordPress, initially it was just a blog. So for people that want it just to blog, you don't have to use it as a blog, but you can. So if I have a, let's say instead of, if I don't really care about having posts, and these could be announcements or whatever, they don't have to be posts like with you writing a lot of stuff. It could just be a picture. What you could also do is you could choose a static page as your initial page. So if you have a separate page without a blog, and when maybe your bio or whatever, or maybe your sound page where you have sounds, you want that to be in the initial page, that could be, you could choose it, you would choose that here. So you would say static page, and then you would choose from the ones you've created. But of course, right now we haven't created anything. So so basically it's not really that useful right now. You can also, this is for featured content. If you want, this again has more to do with posts. You can add a tag. This is featured, and it'll show, you could create, basically you create a tag that every time you tag a post, that way it'll show up in the featured content. This could be useful. And what else? Theme options. Oh, these are just some little basic options that are for this particular theme. So you see this little thin line that goes around the pictures. You could get rid of that. I mean, you don't get to like do anything to it or choose, you know, edit it really. You can just either show it or not show it. You can also choose the 3 most recent posts. Of course, right now we don't have any posts, and that could be up here. That's the first thing you see is you see the 3 most recent posts. So anyway, you could tweak around with these images, and this you could ignore. So that's pretty much it for this.